Bring back rock.
Hey everybody, it's Dean. Welcome to Bring Back Rock. Just want to say real quick, thanks to everybody who shares these, watches these, subscribes. Really makes my day to see this channel growing a little bit every day. So, I had a couple people ask for more heavy metal bands. I had a couple people ask for more Doro Pesch because why not? We all love Doro Pesch. So I thought, why not combine the two? Talk about her first band, Warlock. Their first two albums especially were really heavy metal. So we'll talk about Warlock. I was going to tell you another Doro story, but I think I'm going to save it for the end of the video. So, all right, Germany's Warlock. All right, let's do this. Let's talk about Warlock. No, not those early 90s horror movies, although they were kind of fun. Our story starts in Dusseldorf, Germany, in an old factory building where there was about 30 bands who had rehearsal rooms there. One such band was called Snakebite, which featured a petite powerhouse female vocalist named Doro Pesch. Multiple lineup changes ensued, including adding guitarist Rudy Graf, who eventually came up with the name Warlock after reading it in a book written in English and immediately thought it was a cool name. The band set plans in motion as they gained momentum to record a single, but soon found themselves with a record deal, and the single was forgotten about. They signed with Mausoleum Records and recorded their debut album, Burning the Witches, in 1984, with the lineup of Doro Pesch, soon to be known as Doro Pesch, before graduating to the single name status Doro on vocals, Frank Riddle on bass, Michael Urich on drums, and Peter Sergetti and Rudy Graf on guitar. Now, an early problem with the album was the artwork for the album cover. The band absolutely hated it. If you're familiar with Warlock, you're probably familiar with their Warlock logo. There he is. Scary, right? Okay, so look at the Warlock the record company chose. Old, overweight, bald, hunched over, nearly toothless, looks more like an amused great-grandfather than a menacing warlock. Anyway, it was used without the band's permission, and it is what it is. Now, lack of touring support, financial support, as well as not getting any royalties, and there was distribution issues, like their album was supposed to be released in certain countries, which was guaranteed in the contract, and it wasn't, all led to them being very unhappy with Mausoleum Records, and they left after just one album. However, even with all these issues, the album did pretty well for being on an indie label and generated interest from Phonogram Records, who signed with them, releasing all their albums from there on out on their Vertigo imprint on Phonogram. Now, the first thing they released was a 3-song picture disc for the song You Hurt My Soul. The picture disc is where an early picture of the Warlock we all know and love and are familiar with makes his first appearance. Their sophomore album, Hellbound, was released in 1985. Now, the first 2 albums Warlock released are pure metal, even bordering on speed or thrash at times. The band had their first European tour and filmed live in London for the video release Metal Racer. Following the Hellbound tour, guitarist Rudy Graf left and was replaced by, probably going to say this wrong, but Nico Arvanitis. We'll go with that. Now, album number 3, True as Steel, was released in 1986 and was the first album released in the U.S. Production values improved with each release, and this newest album was starting to lean a bit more mainstream, a little more commercial, as they prepared for their move into the U.S. market. The single, Fight for Rock, got some radio play, and the video appeared on MTV. As the band grew internationally, a move to the U.S. was happening. Peter and Frank left the band. We've been given a couple reasons. Unwilling to move is one reason. Priorities and vision for the band was another reason. Doro was dating guitarist Peter at the time, and there was some tension with Frank over this. Doro also called the two lazy in one interview, but said they're still great friends. I think maybe with her English being her second language, she didn't choose quite the proper word, but it was kind of funny or honest, who can tell? So, Americans Tommy Henriksen and Tommy Bolin came in on bass and guitar respectively and recorded album number 4, which in my opinion is a banger top to bottom. A classic in my book that should have made them even bigger. Triumph and Agony came out in 1987 and gave Warlock their biggest hit, All We Are, which is so damn catchy. Let me tell you, I heard this on the radio the other day. My son was in the back, he's 12, and he starts singing, all we are, all we are, we are all you need, in the back, and it was just jamming. It was pretty fun. Excuse my singing, so-called, by the way. Sorry about that. Anyway, great song, really catchy. The video, by the way, for that was filmed in the same basin in LA as that scene from Terminator 2. We got to also see the Warlock live and in person for the first time in that video. All We Are and For Immer, which in German is Forever, both got videos and received airplay on MTV. Also, it should be noted, I'm not sure how much drummer Michael York played on the album. One track he didn't play on for sure was A Touch of Evil, which has an interesting story. See, Doro went to write one night with her producer instead of going out, and he asked if she'd ever used a Ouija board. Well, the Ouija board was banned in Germany at the time, so she never had and was pretty interested. So one night they started using the Ouija board every single night, and weird things started happening, including the apartment almost being burnt down. And one night the board spelled out piano, and they asked the spirits to play a chord on the piano. Instead of that, there was a guitar hanging on the wall, and a chord came out of the guitar. Doro freaked out, left. She said she had to move out. There was just too much weird energy. They felt like she wrote A Touch of Evil about that and felt it was really powerful, and they needed a new drummer. So they brought in Cozy Powell, who's played with everybody, Jeff Beck, Rainbow, Whitesnake, Sabbath, bunch of bands. So he comes in to give the song Touch of Evil a little more power on bass. And she said when she was recording her vocals, the headphones kept not exploding, but blowing out. And when she got to that final scream in the song, which is pretty epic, she said a bolt of lightning came through the studio window, whipped around the studio, and exited the same way. She said everybody freaked out. They're afraid to play the song back even, but it did turn out pretty awesome. Now, the end of that story sounds a little bit suspicious, but I wasn't there, so I can't dispute it. Makes for a great story, though. Even more lineup changes ensued before album number 5. You see, drummer Michael York left, leaving Doro the only remaining original member. He was replaced by Bobby Rondinelli. Also, the guitarist left and replaced by John Levin. He was mislabeled as John Devon. John later went on to join Dokken and has played with Don forever since 2004, I believe. Now, at this time, Doro found out the name Warlock was basically stolen by their ex-manager, Peter Zimmerman. He probably has a different version of the story. But the trademark was registered under his name, and the band was not allowed to use it. They continued recording, figuring it would get straightened out as it went along, but it didn't, and the band was forced to change their name, killing all the name recognition and momentum they had built. Now the label knew they had something special in Doro and convinced her to just record it under the name Doro. Most fans knew she was the focus of the band, and they said, you can record the next album under the name Warlock. Well, they even released the album with a little Warlock sticker on it and quickly got sued. This album is named Force Majeure. It was released in 1989, and it's kind of where the Warlock story ended and the Doro solo career began. It was supposed to be a Warlock record. Her next album, simply titled Doro, was her first real solo record with a whole new set of players, but that's a story for another time. I did not, in my music samples, include any Force Majeure songs just because it's kind of a gray area whether it's a Warlock or Doro album. All right, now during their career, they played with some of the greats, touring with Megadeth, W.A.S.P, Dio, Judas Priest, and more. What have they been up to since? Well, Rudy Groff joined speed metal band Rage and played on the album Execution Granted. He now works as a studio musician and songwriter. Frank Riddle and Peter Zaghetti played on except vocalist Udo's first solo record, Animal House. We mentioned John Levin plays with Dokken. Warlock still do special shows sometimes. They were booked as Warlock 1986 when they didn't have the rights to the name. Although with the death of their former manager, Doro now once again has the rights to the name Warlock. So there may be some new Warlock shows coming for on special occasions. Tommy Henriksen has played with Alice Cooper in his band and with the Hollywood Vampires, which has Alice Cooper, Joe Perry, and Johnny Depp in it. Doro, well, she's kind of become a legend. She was the first female to front a band at Monsters of Rock Festival, also known as Castle Donington back in the day. She's released over a dozen solo albums and just solo studio albums, not counting the live albums and stuff. She has become the metal queen, inspiring all rockers, but especially women, as one of the female trailblazers in metal. And she honestly, truly, she seems to be adored and respected throughout the heavy metal community, fans and bands alike. All right, that's a little bit on Warlock. and we're going to get into some music samples, and I will catch up with you at the end of the video.
for glory. On the wings of an eagle we fly on. Break your free, and you go. Yes, we're moving on. Stay hard to rest in. Stay hard, we're going down in history. Stay hard to rest in. Stay hard, we're going down in history. Kind of mat bakom trädgården är det vi en till på campen och lärt mich kennen. Den Freunde gehen mir über alles. Immer. Ich will immer für dich sein. Für immer. Deep inside my heart. Immer deep inside my heart. Forever deep inside my heart. See you and me. So long.
All right, so that was a little bit on Warlock. The Doro Pesch story I was going to share, she decided to prioritize her life one morning, just woke up, wanted to prioritize her life, thought of all the things she wanted as a child, and as she was growing up, you know, a family, kids, horses she wanted. But when she decided to prioritize her life, she ended up deciding that music and the fans were the two things she really wanted to prioritize. And every interview she thanks the fans, she says they're like family, and she seems very sincere when she does it. So kind of cool for Doro Pesch. Also, one more thing, she did actually go to school for graphic design, and that's what she was going into before she went into decided to focus solely on rock and roll. So anyway, just a little bit more on Doro. Now, where can you find them? All the Warlock albums are available to stream, so you can go look for them there. I think they're all still in print. You can find them. Most of the Doro solo stuff is you can stream as well, so you can find them online. All right, thanks to everybody for watching. I appreciate it, and I will catch you on the next episode.